and welcome back to a brand new season of the Right Bench podcast. My name is Julia Kennedy, and just like that, we are officially back. But this time, we're going to start before the season even starts. Now, imagine that. Last season, we kind of jumped right in, right at the end of postseason, so only had a couple episodes to do. But this time, we're starting from the beginning. You're going to get a full season download of all the latest college softball news, stats, games, insight, all of it. Now, before we hop right to it, let's go back a little bit and kind of backtrack to recap what happened last season. Liberty, they shocked the country. Do you guys remember that? In the first round of regionals, after upsetting and eliminating the number one overall seed in the tournament, the Texas A&M Aggies, in one of the biggest early round moments, history was made. Now, 8 teams later advanced to the Women's College World Series. That includes Florida, Texas, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Texas Tech, Ole Miss, Oregon, and UCLA. A field absolutely loaded with star power, elite pitching, and championship expectations. Now, with the National Championship Series, it featured the Chancellor Spurs rivalry. That is an old school Lone Star State showdown featuring the Texas Longhorns and the Texas Tech Raiders, and it did not disappoint. One of the better pitching duels that we saw all season between Nigeri Kennedy and Tegan Cavan. But the Longhorns, they took home the national championship title after snapping the Oklahoma Sooners national championship streak of 4 straight national titles. But we have good news. Nyjah and Tegan will both be back returning for another season in the circle, and they aren't the only ones that plan on making a statement this season. Some other big names returning back in the circle: Carlin Pickens out of Tennessee, Jordy Ball from Nebraska, and I'm not quite sure if we're calling her Jordy Ball or Jordy Fromm, I believe, because she just got recently married, so I'm not quite sure which name she's using. We'll see how that figures out down the road. Maya Johnson from Belmont, Ruby Malin from Oklahoma State, Kenzie Brown from Arizona State, Lindsey Grind from Oregon, Peja Gould from Mississippi State, and Jazzy Frankick from Florida State. Now, these are just a handful of some really, really talented pitchers, but the beauty is there's a whole new group of freshmen that are coming in, already trying to draw some attention early on. Now, Alabama, they had arguably one of the best recruiting classes. 2 players that were a part of that, Vic Moten and Caitlin Pelosi. Now, Vic Moten is a 2-time Gatorade Player of the Year in the state of Alabama, and more impressively, she gets it done on both sides of the game. Now, in the circle, her senior year of high school, she posted a .79 ERA in more than 150 innings pitched, and she recorded over 1,000 career high school strikeouts. At the plate, she was batting .438, 13 home runs. Now, on the other hand, Caitlin Pelosi, she was the Gatorade Player of the Year, but for the state of Michigan. Now, me and Caitlin, we actually have like a little bit of a connection. I don't know her, she doesn't know me, but we actually played in the same high school conference. It's a super small Catholic league kind of conference outside of Detroit. And then we actually trained at the same facility back home. So that's pretty cool. But this girl is a stud. She was ranked number 5 overall in the class of 2025 for the Extra Elite Top 100 from Extra Innings Softball. It's going to be really interesting to see how Patrick Murphy decides to use both of them as a part of the pitching staff, including some of the other veterans that they have on staff as well. But there's a ton of more incoming freshmen that are looking to make an immediate impact to their program in the coming days. Now, the Oklahoma Sooners, they picked up a lot of big names, having 3 of the top 5 players in the 2025 class. Kay Minor, she's the number 1 overall player. She's an outfielder and a power hitter out of California. Lexi McDaniel, an infielder from Missouri, and Kendall Wells. Now, I have got my name on Kendall Wells. I think she has the ability to make a major impact in the lineup for the Sooners early on. She's got a crazy mix of speed and power. She poses as a double threat. She absolutely crushes the long ball, but also is a big threat to the defense when she's on the bases. And how about the transfer portal, though? We have some big names that we're going to be seeing in different uniforms this season. The number one player overall in the portal, she was a big name to catch, Sydney Berzon. She made the switch from the LSU Tigers over to the Oklahoma Sooners. Now, she was named to the USA Softball Collegiate Player of the Year top 50 watch list for the 2026 season, and she has the potential to be a major workhorse for the Sooners. Now, last year at LSU, she threw 19 complete games with over 100 strikeouts. Texas Tech, more than any other program, arguably grabbed some of the most impactful transfers. Texas Tech flat out won the transfer portal, in my opinion. A lot of this is because of the school's NIL program called the Matador Club. NIL, it's a buzzword in sports right now. You hear it, you think of dollar signs, you either love it or you hear of it and you think of cheating and you hate it. Depends on how you look at it. It's one of the most loaded NIL collectives in all of college sports, and they get players to sign with them, technically, I'm putting that in air quotes right now, in a legal way. But I don't think it's necessarily the most moral way. Basically, they utilize the Matador Club and have them reach out as a third party to players while they are still playing mid-season with their current teams. Now, technically, coaches aren't allowed to interact with players directly while they're still playing, but if a third party does it, there's not really a whole lot of rules or clarification around that. The start of the conversation is of what kind of NIL deals they would present with those athletes as if they agree to enter the portal. Now, let's not forget, Karen Weekly with Tennessee called out the Texas Tech program for doing this last season, but they grabbed a ton of players, starting out with the obvious one, Caitlin Terry. Now, she was a pitcher for UCLA. She played a really important piece to the Bruins staff. Her freshman year back in 2024, she was named the Pac-12 Freshman of the Year. But RIP to the Pac-12. May you rest in peace. Now, last season as a sophomore, she threw 11 complete games, including 4 shutouts. She was heavily relied on, almost 150 innings pitched last season for UCLA and the Bruins. But she still managed to hold a 2.64 ERA, 172 strikeouts with just 34 walks. Texas Tech also managed to bring over a handful of big bats. Taylor Pannell from Tennessee. Now, that was kind of what Karen Weekly was hinting at earlier as to why she was upset that Texas Tech kind of maybe blurred the lines a little bit. She was a 2-time SEC first team, last season hitting almost 400 with 16 home runs. They also got Desiree Spearman from New Mexico State, a former Conference USA player and freshman of the year. Now, last season, she finished batting .430, 20 dingers, and she also posted some great numbers in the circle with 118 strikeouts through 114 innings pitched. I think that was a great pickup by Jerry Glasgow, but the list doesn't stop there for the big hitters. They also picked up Jazzy Burns out of Ohio State. She was a big part of their success last season. She had 25 home runs last season. Mia Williams from Florida, not too far behind, with 19 homers last season with the Gators. Now, outside of Texas Tech, I thought Mizzou made a great move going into the portal and picking up Emma Jackson from East Carolina. She'll be a senior this season, but back in 2025, she made a name for herself. She was a 4-star portal ranking. She hit .330 with 21 long balls and 54 RBIs. Now, kind of like NIL, the transfer portal is so controversial, and I think this is an example where the transfer portal actually does a really good job helping players out. Here's an athlete, she was killing it at the mid-major level. And now she has the chance to shine to make a difference at a Power 4 school. Now, previous to East Carolina, she was at Virginia Tech, which is a Power 4 school in the ACC. I'm just going out on a limb here, but she only had 45 at-bats there. I'm sure not necessarily the playing time that she wanted or that she had hoped for that she was going to get, but now she's a veteran player. She's developed, a senior, and she's finding her way back to the Power 4 schools. I'll be keeping my eye on her for sure throughout this season. Now, out of the Big Ten, Nebraska, they picked up Hannah Coor. She's an outfielder transferred from Oklahoma. This is a player that is going to bring a ton of experience to Ronda Revell's roster. And honestly, experience is one of those things that is kind of overlooked, but it's so important because at the end of the day, you can't teach experience. They either have it or they don't. If they have it, it adds so much value to their program. Now, she's a redshirt senior that was a part of that Oklahoma dynasty stretch of the national championships from 22 to 24. Now, she is a 3-time national champ. And last season, she helped bring the Sooners back to Oklahoma City for the World Series. I think this Nebraska team is going to be super important to watch out of the Big Ten. Obviously, now that the conference is looking a whole lot different, now that you throw in teams like Washington, Oregon, and UCLA, but that Nebraska team, I guarantee you, will be fighting for the Big Ten title this season. And the thing that I love the most is this Nebraska program has prepared themselves for this. They have set themselves up to have the greatest chance of success come conference play. That preparation is very clear. And it's very intentional. Their preseason schedule is insane. It is arguably the toughest preseason schedule in all of college softball. It is an absolute gauntlet. They basically play half of the SEC in their preseason. I'm talking Texas, the defending national champions, LSU, Georgia, Tennessee, South Carolina, Texas A&M. And I know Texas Tech isn't in the SEC, but they're also playing them, who were the national champions runner-up. That's a level of competition most teams don't even start to see until at least May. That doesn't include a whole other slew of quality teams that they scheduled in between. The Cornhuskers scheduled smart. They're testing themselves early on in the season on purpose. They are seeing what they are capable of. I think most importantly is figuring out what this pitching staff is going to look like and if they can have a really, really strong number 2 in combination with Jordy Fromm. Being able to figure it out and get answers against top teams and programs, that way once you do get into the Big Ten play, once you do get into your conference play, you already have it figured out. You have already tested different lineups, different pitching rotations, different strategies against the best teams in the country. I'm talking top 25 ranked teams. You figure out, hey, this did have success. Great, let's carry that into conference play. Maybe this didn't work out as I wanted to. Great, let's tweak it now. That way we have it prepared and ready to use correctly against Big Ten teams in conference play. Now, there are no surprises here. You are going to know how your team stacks up against the best programs in the country. And as a player, playing a tough preseason schedule can get a little frustrating, right? Because you're not seeing immediate results. You're not seeing immediate wins and success. It could very well be a very slow start and a very slow preseason for Nebraska. They might not have the record or that they want or necessarily the most impressive overall record as they head into Big Ten play. And people who only look at wins and losses, they're going to question it. They're going to be like, well, Nebraska, they don't have a really great preseason record, blah, 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 blah. I'm not sure that they're going to have the most success when it comes to Big Ten play. Forget about it. Those people, they don't do their research. Do not listen to them. If you want to do your research and you want to know if a team's actually going to have success in the preseason or in conference play, yes, absolutely pull up their wins and loss record. That is one of the most important stats. But if you see a lot of losses, maybe go, I wonder why that is. Go onto their website, see who they played, figure it out. How bad did they lose? Was it by one run or did they get run ruled? That's going to tell you a lot about a team. All I'm saying is all of those other teams in the conference, in the Big Ten, they better watch out and they better come out hot because Nebraska is going to be ready. They're going to be battle tested once they hit that conference play in the Big Ten. Now, we're going to be switching gears here a little bit to a hot topic. You know me, I love controversial stuff. I love hot topics. It's going to get a lot of people talking, okay, expressing their own opinions on it. Some people are happy about it, right? They feel good about it. They feel valued, respected, all those good things. Other people feel flat out mad, angry, disappointed, and disrespected. And of course, we're talking about all the preseason rankings. There's a ton of different rankings from a lot of different news sites, but I always find that the most accurate one is the ESPN.com and the USA softball rankings. You can go on to the NCAA website, softball, click on rankings, and then there's a drop-down menu when you can click those rankings. I always find those to be the most accurate. But probably no surprise for people here, we have a preseason tie for first place. I don't really like ties in rankings. I think I don't know. It's either a yes or a no. I don't like the in between. But no surprise here. It's going to be between Texas and Texas Tech. Next come Oklahoma, Tennessee, and Oregon. They wrap up the top 5. Florida, Florida State, Arkansas, Nebraska, and UCLA add to the top 10. Now, already in the top 10, half of those spots, they belong to SEC teams. Texas A&M, Clemson, LSU, South Carolina, Georgia, Bama, Stanford, Arizona, Duke, Oklahoma State, Virginia Tech, Ole Miss, Liberty, Mississippi State, and last but not least, Washington. They all managed to crack the top 25. There are a couple changes I might make here or there on this list. That's just solely based on my own opinion. But I don't think that anything in this top 25 ranking was really wild, crazy, disrespectful by any means. I thought this was a very realistic preseason ranking list. But what I did find really interesting was the SEC preseason coaches poll. Now, their top 5 in order is Texas, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Florida, and Arkansas. I have no notes for that. I think that is exactly what it should be. But this is where things to get a little shaky for folks, and they tend to have a little bit of some loud opinions here. 6 to 15 goes as followed. Texas A&M, LSU, Georgia, Bama, South Carolina, Mississippi State, Auburn, Ole Miss, Missouri, and Kentucky. Just to compare this to the top 25 rankings that we just discussed, the SEC coaches poll has Georgia and Bama topping the South Carolina Gamecocks. And a little further down on the list, we also see Mississippi State and Auburn in front of Ole Miss. Now, Auburn isn't even ranked in the top 25 right now. Let's also not forget Ole Miss made it to the World Series last year. Now, granted, like every other program, they face turnover, right? Seniors graduated, people transferred. Is it the same team? Absolutely not. But still, they made it to the World Series. People get upset. They get heated. They get their panties in a wad over these rankings, especially when they feel disrespected. Now, here's like my thing about this where people complain, and I'm like, guys, these rankings are just people's best guesses. They are ranking them before anyone has played a single game of this season. And if you know anything about college softball, regardless of the conference, this season is a gauntlet. These teams play over 50 games in a single season. Any one of these teams can get hot, especially later in the seasons, and they can blow these rankings right out of the water. So my advice is to take all of this with a grain of salt. And honestly, I think it is better to be ranked lower than you think because there is no expectations. The only people that have expectations for you is your coaches, and they expect the world out of you. You have the best opportunity to prove people wrong. I'm talking fans, media, other schools. You have the opportunity to say, hey, guess what? You're wrong about me. I'm actually better than you. Proving people wrong and proving to the doubters, it's honestly one of my favorite things to do. And if you're not doing it, why? You're missing out on a lot of fun. Now, we have got some fantastic matchups for us on opening week, including a couple top 25 showdowns right out of the gate. Number 1, Texas. They open up the season with number 9, Nebraska. That's going to be on Friday the 6th. And honestly, already that is going to be the matchup that I'm going to be paying attention to the most. I think that's going to be very telling for a lot of people. You're already talking about two programs with serious postseason expectations, elite pitching depth, and honestly, lineups that can change the game with just one swing. Now that game, it's going to be streamed on ESPN Plus if you're looking to watch it. 4th ranked Tennessee will take on both 5th ranked Oregon and 23rd ranked Liberty. Now the South Carolina Gamecocks, they will host the 21st ranked Virginia Tech Hokies on Thursday the 5th. And then again on Saturday the 7th. Now this is one of those like sneaky good matchups that might fly under the radar nationally. But both those programs are trying to establish themselves early on and stack quality wins early. Now, I'll actually be in the booth calling that game on the 7th. So if you like listening to me, maybe you don't. That's okay. I'm not offended. But you can tune into that game if you aren't sick of hearing my voice yet. And honestly, I think I'm sick of hearing mine. But honestly, that's just part of the job. My point is there's a ton of really great competitive games this opening weekend, and it's a great introduction to see what these teams are made of. And I always preach to girls that want to get better at softball. They have dreams of playing in college. Watch these girls play. Watch them do their things. Focus on a girl that plays your position. Watch her habits. Watch her routine. And watch how she plays. Watch how she handles her emotions. Watch how she interacts with her teammates and with her coaches. It will only improve your own play. I mentioned this game at South Carolina. I'll be also calling a handful of games this spring for the Gamecocks, as well as I'll be calling a handful of games for Charleston Southern also on ESPN Plus this season. If you like what I'm doing, if you like the content that I'm putting out, please, 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 please subscribe on Spotify, follow our Instagram at RightBenchPod. It takes 5 seconds of your time, but honestly means the world to me. So thank you so much for listening. I'm super, super pumped. My favorite time of the year is back. College softball is officially back, and we are just getting started.